Okay, so we never got the alien invasion colonization movie, but we now have three cuts of this movie. So there's the original cut from 2008, which goes for 104 minutes. Then there's the unrated version, which has 4 minutes extra. And then this cut, which only has 98 minutes, so it's actually the shortest version, yet they've added more horror to it. Look, I can't compare the cuts because I've only seen this version. If you've seen them all, let me know down below. What did they actually cut from this? I know there was definitely the romance missing. We'll go into that a bit more later, but if you've seen all three, let me know what your favourite cut was down below. Okay, so why all the hassle over this movie? Well, back in 2008, the studios decided that they wanted a family-friendly, widely accessible X-Files movie that families could go to together, that they could rate PG, so they went with a dismemberment theme. Yes, you heard that right. Dismemberment. Nothing says family-friendly more than chopping up human body parts. So basically, this is the X-Files take on the classic Frankenstein story, where a bunch of girls go missing only to show up dismembered. So apparently this restores all the surgical experiment scenes, restoring the movie back to the tone of a psychological horror movie, which is what Chris Carter originally wanted before all the studio interference. Okay, so firstly, I'm just going to give a brief overview of my thoughts on the franchise as a whole. If you want to skip it, that's totally fine. I'll put the timestamp down here somewhere. So, look, I watched the first half of the show, a bit more than half, and then I felt like it started to decline in quality. Not to a huge degree, but enough that I lost interest, and I read ahead, which is something that you should never do, to see spoilers, to see if it was going to pay off in the end and if I should just keep going. But it felt like the ending was really anticlimactic, to say the least, so I gave up. I still like to rewatch it for those Monster of the Week type episodes, which are my favourites. I feel like Arcadia is definitely up there with my favourite episodes. Let me know yours down below. So it feels like this show set the blueprint. It was the absolute original in these shows with Monster of the Week and overarching mythology. Like Buffy, Supernatural, Grimm, this started all of it. I love the earlier seasons set in British Columbia. It is such a beautiful place. And the spooky, atmospheric woodland really felt like a character in and of itself. And then in the later seasons, I think 6 to 9, they moved it to LA and it just definitely lost something. Then we have the revival. So season 10 and 11, the whole overarching mythology with William was a bit of a mess, but we definitely did have some good Monster of the Week episodes, like the one with the monster working at the phone store, and it definitely showed the potential that the show still had if done correctly. That dancing dummy episode still gives me nightmares, so the show, it started to lean more into current social commentary. The X-Files has always been progressive. Though as culture starts to shift, questioning Big Gov tends to lean more right and less progressive. The difference is before the revival, there was nuance, even episodes revolving around different cultures, which didn't just serve as a backdrop for lore, but a teachable moment I found interesting and eye-opening because it wasn't heavy-handed. It put story and entertainment first, but now it feels like a message with a show attached at times instead of the opposite. As a Christian, I always appreciated Scully, how she was a strong woman who had her beliefs treated with respect and as a source of strength rather than something to be mocked and diminished. Chris Carter himself said in an interview how Mulder's search for aliens was an allegory for man's search for God. Am I trying to claim that this is a Christian show? No, I'm not. I'm just saying that it handled these different approaches with nuance. And now we have a reboot from Ryan Coogler, who is more known for his social commentary driven films, which has me worried. Look, I'm definitely going to go watch it with an open mind, hoping for the best. But I just hope Mulder and Scully 2.0 fight monsters, not social injustice. And despite claims to the contrary, this is Mulder and Scully 2.0. It's the same formula as the original show. A man and a woman, both FBI agents, both at the top of their field, very, very different, forced to work together. I mean, come on, let's call it what it is. Chris Carter's on board as a producer. That gives me a tiny ray of hope. Well, actually, considering how hard he's fumbled the ball lately, not really, but it's set in British Columbia, so there's that at least. So the studios, in all their wisdom, decided that an alien invasion movie wouldn't appeal to a wide audience. You've got to also consider the time period, that this was in the 2000s when aliens were all the rage, and a PG-13 dismemberment movie would be the thing that would get butts in seats. I mean, nobody's watching this that weren't fans of the show, and the ironic thing is, a mythology-based big-budget invasion movie would have actually drawn a crowd. With these guys especially on board, I love the Lone Gunmen, they're so funny, but they only really worked well in the context of them working alongside Mulder. There's a spin-off show, it's free on YouTube, I tried watching it, but it just wasn't very good. And even if they had just gone with a better monster of the week, it would have drawn a bigger crowd, but still, there's no satisfying ending to the main storyline. I would rewatch the whole show if there was. Who knows, maybe the revival will revive interest in a movie. I just hope there's no Mulder or Scully cameo where they commit character assassination, because the writers so frequently think the only way to move forward with the new is to destroy what came before. Okay, so on to the review. Like I said before, they cut the romance to appeal to a wider demographic of people who hadn't watched the original show, to make it more accessible for them. And I really think that that is a very, very, very small percentage of people. And the tension between them is so clearly there. It's such a core part of their characters, this romance, and something that fans clearly wanted. And I just feel like this whole movie was trying so hard to appeal to the wrong audience. So there's this scene I find hysterical. Scully is in bed talking to somebody, but we don't see who she's talking to. The next morning, in the next scene, she's talking to Mulder, and they're talking about a conversation they had late the night before. I mean, it really doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to put two and two together that these two people are in a relationship. I mean, who are they trying to fool? And all the cutting of the story makes it feel really choppy, and it just doesn't flow smoothly. And then there's this post-credit scene with Mulder and Scully. They're on a romantic canoe boat ride. I mean, it feels so tacked on. It's such obvious fan service. It feels insulting, really, after spending the whole movie trying to retcon their romance and then doing a post-credit scene like that. Okay, so it never really feels like Mulder and Scully come together in this movie. They're separated at the start of the movie, and that would have been fine for setup. I mean, not separated romantically as much as this movie tries to get us to believe. I just mean they're on separate paths, and it never feels like they come together in the main story. And the focus should have been not on the dying kid, which feels like a subplot that got dragged on for way too long. It feels like Frankenshteyn should have been the focus from start to end, and it just wasn't, making it feel disjointed and choppy. Just show us a cozy, domesticated version of Mulder and Scully. They deserve it after everything they've been through. Well, I guess we get that in other cuts of the movie, but not in this movie. So the whole story of hope is obviously tied into this dying boy, but I feel like they could have taken a different approach and just cut that storyline completely and focus on the Frankenstein story, focus more on this girl who's trying to escape, who gets rescued in the end. If there was more of a connection with her, we would have been more invested in the main storyline emotionally. And the whole psychic thing, been there, done that, with Beyond the Sea, with Brad Dourif. He was amazing as the psychic in that episode. Here, the guy who played the psychic, it just felt like he wasn't cast correctly. He wasn't the right fit for this role. So the cinematography was great. I love the visuals of the white snow opposed to the dark tone of the movie. The stunning landscapes really added an atmosphere. And it felt really weird to watch here in Australia, where our winter, it's winter right now in Australia, is mild, sunny weather. So the police searching for the woman's body in present time, while simultaneously showing her attack in flashbacks. That was really effectively done. And the song the woman was driving to, I Fall to Pieces, it sounded like it should have been really funny, but it was really creepy. They should have lent into that song more. So it was really good to see Skinner, but for such a primary character from the show, he felt like an afterthought. They really didn't utilize him the way they should have. He should have been the FBI connection from the very beginning, helping them with the case. And just this whole movie felt like it should have been an episode, a 2-part episode. It didn't even feel like a season finale, and the ending just felt really rushed. So I really like the themes of redemption, forgiveness, hope, but I feel like it could have been executed better than through a story about a priest who assaults 37 boys. 37 boys, and everyone still respectfully calls him father. He's not in jail, hasn't been to jail. He's simply been defrocked, and he's living in a dorm, but even him living in a dorm with other sex offenders, he's shown to be there willingly. It's his choice. It just feels like it was the wrong approach to this. So I could get on board with forgiving this guy. Forgiveness is for everybody, not just those that are easy to forgive, but he actually says he feels like his desire for children is from God. Yeah, try the other direction. And Scully sort of rubbed me the wrong way in this when she says to him, "You think God listens to you?" I mean, yes, God listens to everybody. She also uses God's name in vain, which goes against her core nature. Look, this guy has no punishment not inflicted by himself except losing power in church and his position, and he takes no accountability. Therefore, he alienates the audience emotionally. I like the overall idea, it's just poor execution. And there's implied forgiveness in death by helping someone, but it just didn't cut it. Show, don't tell. Do you earn forgiveness and salvation? No, it's through faith, not through works. Still, this guy, he's just not the character to emotionally get us invested in. By and large, the X-Files shows both good and the bad nature of the church and leaders within the church, which I appreciate the nuance because it's often only ever going in one way. Overall, I would give it a 6 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought of it down below. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in another video.